There was a king who had 3 sons, and the king called his 3 sons to him and said, "It is time for you to go out into the world and learn the ways of the world as best you can. Make your way, and when it is time to return, I will call you, and you must come." The 3 princes set out, and after travelling a great distance, they came to a walled garden, and outside the gate of that garden were 3 gatekeepers. The first was ancient, old. The second was infirm and covered with boils. And the third had an effulgence, a beauty shining around him that was almost blinding. The first gatekeeper said to the 3 princes, "When you enter here, you must know that you must also depart." The second gatekeeper said, "When you enter this place, you can have whatever it is that is there, but you cannot carry anything with you when you leave." And the third gatekeeper said, "Beware of the beautiful. Choose only the good." So the 3 princes entered that garden, and there the trees were laden with the most luscious of fruit. There was an abundance of food of all descriptions to be found, and jewels and gems more magnificent than a king's ransom laid there for the taking. The first prince immediately began to gorge himself on the delicacies that abounded in the garden. Even when he was not hungry, he ate more and more, so his stomach became bloated. The second son filled his pockets with the jewels and gems that lay all around. And when his pockets were full and were not enough, he took off his cloak and made it into a bag which he filled and dragged around him, still choosing more and more. The third son ate and drank only that which was needed to sustain him. He convened with the animals. He spoke with the fish. He sought knowledge from the stream that ran through the garden. He grew wise. But then a message came from the king. It is now time to return. The first prince, when he walked out of the gate of the garden, was so bloated with the gorging that had taken place that he died. The second prince, when he arrived at the gate, found that all the treasures that he'd amassed were gone, taken from him. And since he had neglected himself, become emaciated and thin, forgetting to eat even, in glorifying in all the wonders of the jewels that he'd taken, was like a beggar. And when he arrived at the gate of his father's city and said, "I am the son of the king," no one recognized him, and they threw him into a dungeon. The third prince filled his mouth with the gems in the garden so that they would not be carried out. He was still young, handsome, and virile when he arrived at the gates of the palace. There were fanfares of trumpets, and he was brought into the presence of the king. The king welcomed him and asked him what it was that had transpired in the time that he'd been absent. And he related the wisdom that he'd received from the elements that were contained in that garden, the birds, the animals, the fish, the trickling stream. His father, the king, congratulated him, but the prince said, "Beloved father, all the time that I was in the garden, all that I longed for was to know who was the gardener. Father, can you tell me who is the gardener who has created the garden?" His father, the king, took him into a secret room, and there confided in him, the prince, the secrets of the ages. And he placed his son on the throne beside him, where he remained eternally. A parable, an allegory, who's to say? But as we listen to the elements of this story, none of us can say that we do not understand its meaning. Are you still seeking the garden? Or when we learn the secrets of the ages, the wisdom of life, and we're seated by the king himself, is there any further seeking? Or do we know who the gardener is?